High-stakes testimony set for next week. President Trump standing by his Supreme Court nominee, Brett Kavanaugh, and questioning the timing of his accuser's claims.
I think it's a very sad situation. He's an outstanding person. Why didn't somebody call the FBI 36 years ago? I mean, you could also say, when did this all happen? What's going on? I have been accommodating. I say, let her say what she has to say, and let's see how it all comes out. But they've delayed it a week, and they have to get on with it.
Christine Blasey Ford now says she's willing to testify, but under certain conditions, including only members of the committee, no lawyers can question her. Kavanaugh cannot be in the room at the time, and Kavanaugh should be questioned first. To analyze, we turn to Ben Shapiro, the editor-in-chief of DailyWire.com and the host of the Ben Shapiro Election Special, debuting tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time here on Fox News. He joins me now. So, Ben, before we get anything underway here, I think we just have to preface this by saying, I don't know what happened 35 years ago. You don't know what happened 35 years ago. I believe Ford believes something bad happened that night 35 years ago, whether it's a hazy memory, whether Kavanaugh's lying, she's lying, they both misremembered it, or it's a case of mistaken identity. But with that said, I'd like to hear her. And what I'm skeptical about now personally is the timing of this whole thing as it came up through August and then September through Feinstein. And the people that are running Ford now, you have a professional borker in the Democratic Party advising her. And just the way the Democrats have played this, what say you?
Well, I mean, obviously, one of the questions of credibility goes to the way that this has been handled, not just because there's no other evidence. I mean, there are no other accounts of this event happening. There's no contemporaneous account of her telling anybody at the time. There's nobody else who's made a similar accusation.
Right.
There's no time. There's no place. We're missing a bunch of information. But what that would suggest is that the only evidence they actually have is this woman's testimony. Well, then she should be pretty eager to testify about this, presumably under oath. And yet Democrats have been doing their damnedest to ensure that she doesn't testify under oath. They've been setting up poison pill conditions for a hearing that just cannot stand, like that Kavanaugh's supposed to testify before she does. In what situation has a defendant ever testified before a plaintiff? It doesn't work that way. You can't respond to an allegation unless the allegation's actually been made. Beyond that, Dianne Feinstein obviously kept this hidden for weeks. If she actually wanted it investigated, then she should have tried to initiate an investigation or asked for one weeks before this happened. She didn't ask Brett Kavanaugh about it one time during all the written testimony, during all the oral testimony, during private meetings.
Yep.
At no time did she raise this issue. And what this makes you think is, putting aside the allegations themselves, which, as you say, maybe true, maybe false. We have no idea at this point. I see no reason to think that she's making things up, but I also don't have any reason to think that she's remembering it exactly the way that it happened. Like, I just don't know. No one does.
Right.
And the only other witness to the event, supposedly Mark Judge, has denied that this ever happened. Kavanaugh says he had nothing to do with anything. You know, with all of that said, and Kavanaugh, by the way, is willing to go under oath, right, which actually makes him more credible in his statement. He's risking perjury on all of this. Well, with all of that said, the Democratic manipulation here suggests that they don't care about truth. They don't care about guilt or innocence. All they care about is the political manipulation involved. And that makes perfect sense. Elizabeth Warren was sending out fundraisers this week in which she was using this allegation to raise money for the Democratic Party. That doesn't smack of somebody looking for truth.
Democratic Senator Baldwin, Tammy, actually was throwing a fundraiser for the attorneys for Dr. Ford until the media found out about it, and then they had to cancel the fundraiser very quickly. And Senator Whitehouse, Democrat, also kind of let the cat out of the bag and says, even if he is confirmed, Kavanaugh, afterwards, if we retake one of the houses, we're going to investigate Kavanaugh. We're going to get the FBI involved and potentially impeach him. So when you couple that with the way Feinstein handled this and the people that are now representing Ford, her name is Ricky Seidman, who's been trying to bork Republican nominees for 3 decades. And you also have Brian Fallon, who was Hillary Clinton's national spokesperson, running a operation. I think they raised $5 million to stop the Kavanaugh nomination. To me, and when you delete all of your social media right on the eve of this, and I know it has nothing to do with it, but Dr. Ford is a political activist for the Democrats. She's donated to Democrats. She has marched in anti-Trump rallies, signed anti-Trump petitions. The body of evidence there makes me think, I really want to think she's not lying. I really want to think that in my heart. But when you put all this other stuff out there, it makes me think this is entirely political. And I really hope it's not.
And even if she's remembering exactly the way that it happened, here's the problem. We cannot have a standard in public discourse or in criminal justice. We cannot have a standard where even the prevalence of the evidence is not stacked up in favor of a particular charge, and we believe the charge anyway. We can't just say, this woman puts forward an allegation. There's literally nothing that corroborates
you can't just say,
nothing.
I believe her because she made the allegation. You can say, I hear her, but why just believe anything anybody tells you? Why? Because she's a woman and we're in the Me Too movement? I understand the Me Too movement. I get that's an important moment in our history, and I agree with it. But it's now gotten to the point of if you make an allegation, you're automatically believed. That means Hillary Clinton has to believe every allegation against her husband, right?
Exactly. And we have to believe all the allegations against Keith Ellison, and we have to believe all the allegations against myriad other members of the Democratic Party. This is a huge issue just in terms of how we are going to address these concerns in the future. If the allegation itself is sufficient to take down a nominee, then there cannot be any more nominees.
Right.
There just can't. I mean, we're not going to have any more nominees on either side of the aisle because there's just too much. There's too much at stake to simply suggest that an allegation is proof of itself. That's not how this works.
All right, so you have the special election, midterm special coming up. I believe it's 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time. That's right in between both football games, so that's the perfect time for everybody to, click over and watch. Ben, what are you going to be talking about this Sunday?
Well, we're going to talk a lot about Kavanaugh. We're going to be having on Scott Rasmussen to analyze the polls. We'll have a panel, and we'll really be breaking down the election impact of what Democrats are trying to do, because the truth is this whole Kavanaugh sham from the Democrats, the allegations may not be a sham, but the way the Democrats have treated it is a sham. That sham is a 2018 get-out-the-vote effort. There is no question that's what they are attempting to do, and this all plays into electoral politics in a pretty disgusting way.
All right, Ben, thank you very much. We'll be tuning in on Sunday.